Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hit the bell notifications so you're notified of any time we put new content on. We have videos going up daily. Sometimes you might be lucky and get a double upload per day. We've got some great guests coming up. I know I say every week, but this week particularly, we've got some awesome guests, including today's guest. He played 368 times for the club, scored 7 goals across a 10-year span. He was never present in the 85-86 season. He suffered, relegation, promotion with West Ham, but he did win the Premier League, obviously, not with West Ham though. It's Tony Gale. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Hello, Russ. All good, thank you.
How are you coping? How are you coping?
Yeah, not bad. I think the weather's helped, doesn't it, for lockdown purposes, but just about getting cheesed off of it and looking forward to, hopefully, the football starting.
Hopefully, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be working. I think I'm on the list. So they obviously the players need bubbles to come out to. So
good man.
So yeah, be a bit like Ghost Town, but
you'll be the only one there.
Have the mask and the gloves. I'll be all like suited up. But yeah, anyway, hopefully we can only but hope. But obviously, what's the idea this channel came out of? No one had football to talk about. Everyone was moaning about what's happening. So the whole idea of this is talking to West Ham fans, but also players about their memories of the club, fond memories, early memories, and also their Hammers 11, the people they'd pick as their 11. So for you, Tone, obviously, you joined in 84 from Fulham, 200 grand, nice price tag for a centre back. What was it like? What was it? Because I don't get asked this question. What's it like walking, into a training ground when you've signed for a new club? Let alone West Ham. What's it like? Because it must be like weird.
Well, it's a bit nerve-wracking because obviously you move, as you're saying, it's like just going to any new job. You're moving in with a new set of people, but you're keen really to impress the boys that you're with straight away without being over the top. But I've always been a little bit on the confident side. So my entrance was a little bit different in that I wanted to feel part of it straight away. But I tell you what, there was a great set of lads, and it made me immediately feel welcome, and it was easy to integrate, so super easy.
And obviously, you had John Lyle as your man, so it must have been, how does it all work? Did West Ham come in and or was there other offers on the table, or what happened?
Yeah, two offers on the table. It was the first year that when the contracts run out, you became a free agent, to negotiate whatever. Yep. So mine had run out, and I think Fulham had kind of taken their eye off the ball because my fee had to go to an independent tribunal. So what happens is the selling club asks the earth, and the buying club sort of offer nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them.
Yeah.
So it was a funny one. It was in the summer of that season, summer of '84, but there was 2 clubs in particular that wanted me. It was Chelsea and West Ham, who I'd met on the same day. So I met them around my house. The West Ham contingent was just John and Eddie Bailey, and it was Ian McNeil and John Neal of Chelsea who came round. Chelsea with the other team. So I spoke to the 2 clubs on the day, and John Lyle won it hands down, John Lyle and Eddie Bailey. I mean, they were the first to see me, and they were with me an hour, having a chat. And then I had Chelsea knocking on the door, but John and Eddie went round the pub because they said after the hour, you do another hour with Chelsea and then we're coming back. We ain't going away until you sign. But it's not just you, it's your family is involved. So your wife's involved as well. And although Chelsea was on my doorstep because I was a Fulham player, don't forget, I'm a West London lad. And I was a Chelsea supporter as a kid. Lost that, of course, when I signed for Fulham, but as a Chelsea supporter as a kid, you would think it would have been Chelsea, but no, John Lyle won the day for West Ham, and I've never regretted it.
No, and the rest, as you said, was history, wasn't it? It's like then it was a 10-year career, 368 games. Obviously, throughout that, there's obviously peaks and troughs with how West Ham perform, as is always the way, just like bubbles.
Yeah.
What would you say was like your? I know it's really difficult to say, but like your career highlight. Like certain games or maybe goals which stick in your mind across that 10 years. It was so many games you played.
Well, goals stick in your mind because I didn't get many. It's not like I'm Tony Cotti sitting here talking over 300 goals. It's me, Tony Gale, defender, talking over every one of me 7. So I'll go through all of them if you want, Russ. But no, the best goal was against Liverpool. We played them in the League Cup. They were flying high at the time. They were winning all competitions. We beat them 4-1 at home. And that was a wonderful 4 days, because on the Saturday we went away to Millwall, who were our big, fearsome opponents, weren't they? And everybody, everybody said, you got to beat Millwall. Millwall Spurs it was at the time. Millwall were flying high as well. I don't know if you remember when they were in the first division. And we beat them in the league on the Saturday 1-0. So we beat Liverpool 4-1, beat them convincingly 4-1. And I scored a goal there, a free kick. I think I have scored better free kick goals, but because of the enormity of the game and the team that we were playing, I would pick that one.
Yeah, exactly.
And the best times, if you're talking about the times, would have to be, it was sort of the second season that I was there, 85, 86, when we went so close, but we didn't win the title.
No. Yeah, and as you said, we still celebrate and talk about that time, how many years on, 20, 30 years on, and that's the thing. You get, particularly, I was literally, I was only at 4 or 5 at that time, unfortunately. But obviously you hear so many stories about that team and how great that team was. And obviously, you were ever present in that team. That you and Alvin, formed this rock of a defence, which I don't think, arguably we've seen since, that sort of strong, pairing. We tend to have one auxiliary.
Yeah, there's normally been one or another, hasn't there? But very rarely that you get a pairing. And the interesting thing about the season, Russ, was that I see a lot of Tony Cotti, a friend of mine. We work together as well as being really good friends. And he said to me the other day something, because he's into his stats. Do you know that in that season we created 17 records for West Ham United, which still stand to this day?
Doesn't surprise me.
And I was like, well, how'd you make that out? Most home victories, most away victories, most consecutive wins, most goals scored by our striking partnership, goals conceded. He went on and on and on.
Oh,
there was 17 different records that we made that season, and it still hasn't been beaten to this day.
It doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it was such
I'd love it. I'd love it to be beaten.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Me too. Believe me. Believe me, I'd love it. But it's just an enormous accolade. It's like when I was talking to David Cross the other day. He's the only West Ham player to have scored a hat trick in European competitions, and that, well, at least in a couple of seasons, unless there's a massive upturn in form in the next, when we get back and everyone else buggers off and everyone falls out of the Premier League, then maybe not for a couple of seasons. But
I know David. He left before I came.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He was a quality player, quality man as well. I got to add, and I'm sure you feel the same. But he scored 4 goals against Spurs as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he scored 4 goals in a game against Spurs. I mean, that's enough to put you in West Ham folklore, let alone like history or whatever. And no, Cross, he's a lovely guy.
Yeah, no, he is. And as I said, I think that sort of period from sort of mid 70s to sort of the mid 80s, that was the heyday period for West Ham. In terms of success, FA Cup wins, the 85 stuff, 85-86 seasons. It was like, and obviously European stuff. That was like, unfortunately, I came on the tail end of it, but it doesn't matter. I saw promotion. So I saw when we went, obviously, relegation, and obviously, 91 and stuff, and the relegation and promotion. Yeah. That was sort of my era. So, I started, in a relegation battle. So, I sort of stood as we meant to carry on.
Yeah, that was a good era as well, Russ. That was a good era of players. And, you very rarely went for a season at West Ham when some clubs, they're like mid-table, nothing happens to them. So in the 10 years that I was there, I had 2 promotions, 2 relegations, and the year that we nearly won the title. That's 5 of the seasons. The other 5 of the seasons, there was always something happening. Good cup runs, quarterfinals, semi-finals, whatever. Always something happening. And if there's always something happening, good or bad, that's when the fans love it, don't they? They absolutely love it. Not relegation. I know they didn't love relegation, but they love you to win a relegation fight. So
Exactly. And
yeah.
For us, we obviously we're quite used to that for the last few seasons. But but we win them, so it's all right. And as you said, it's like that adulation when we'll win and Bournemouth will lose, and that will obviously carry on for the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Yeah.
Come mid-June. But as you said, that's being West Ham. You always have to have something going on, and when it's going on, whether it's positive or negative, the fans, as you said, we're not a boring club, are we? We're not. There's always something going on.
I think that's where the fans have been let down slightly. It's not just recent seasons, quite a few seasons where the club, okay, in the Premier League, but have a cup run. Don't just discard the cups. Don't just play your second team and then go, oh well, they should have been good enough to beat this. They've just shown me though that they can't contend with the other players. I've given them a chance. Don't want to hear all that flannel anymore. We want to hear we're in the cup final, or we got to the semi-final, or we got to the quarterfinals. Not that keep getting knocked out to the lowly teams and not really bothering about the cup competitions. That's the one that gets my goat a bit.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously we had 2006 where, that was, obviously we just gone up, and then we had 2006 and we had the car, and it's a day out, isn't it? And I think that's what West Ham fans, they love a day out. They love, booking the limos, and they love, putting the ribbons on the cars. And I always prefer.
I think we had, was it 3 successive seasons, Russ? I think we had two playoffs and a cup final, didn't we?
I had the same car park space.
I myself, as a fan, like you're saying, I didn't do the limo thing, but I mean, what a weekend it was up there in the Millennium Stadium. Absolutely wonderful place.
Yeah, I had the same car park space for 3 years running, so it was quite fun. And you do that.
Right by that hot dog stand.
Yeah, too fucking right. Don't tell my wife. But that's what I loved about Cardiff, though, because Cardiff was like, it was a massive stadium in the middle of the town. So literally, obviously, they split the town in half, and there was massive pub, and it was like a walking distance. Where Wembley, I find now, very like sterile. Wembley Way, you have to get the train. You go to Baker Street, or you meet at Liverpool Street, and then go off. Where Cardiff was like, I used to really enjoy going to Cardiff.
Yeah, Wembley has got better. It's got that shopping centre there now. It's got more shops and more. Maybe outlets to, have a drink in the big chain restaurant things, or used to. It's the lockdown things changed it a little bit now. But the Millennium, I loved the Millennium because, I called it Cardiff High Street. I don't know what the street was called right outside the stadium, but there was bars, there was restaurants, there was pubs, there was virtually everything. We was at a cricket ground. We stayed at a cricket ground. There was a corporate thing for I think it was a cup final day. Corporate thing there, but there was so many places to go, weren't there? Hotels, everybody would congregate around those hotels, and I never saw much trouble. I don't know if there was, but I never saw much trouble.
Well, they split the city almost in half, didn't they? And I think that was just such a clever idea. So like you had the West Ham half and the Liverpool half, but I always remember my one sort of memory, apart from obviously the game, of that 2006 was I was walking down Cardiff High Street, we'll call it, and there was a big Wetherspoons. It was like a 2-story Wetherspoons, like one massive window, and there was literally a bloke, a West Ham fan, you could tell he had a tattoo on his arse, literally pressed against the window at Wetherspoons in his mother. I was like, I just felt so warm, so warm. Good time. Anyway, let's obviously you mentioned about the players and things like that, and that's what we try and do as well. So we try and find out about people's Hammers 11. So the 11 they'd pick. So it might be for some, it might be their favourites or things like that. For you, it might be the players you played with, or a mixture maybe played with and seen play maybe since. And it'd be great to get that. We try and keep it to a 4-4-2. We've had about 110 different names appear since all the interviews. Obviously, a few are similar, and I'm sure a few will come up. But that's the thing. Obviously, you can play yourself, Tone. You don't have to worry.
I'm not playing if I can't pick myself. It's my ball, Russ, isn't it? It's my ball.
It's your ball, yeah. I mean, David Cross picked himself up front against Bob Robson. But Kenny Brown didn't pick himself. I know he didn't, but yeah, anyway. So if we're going for the Gailey 11, who would be between the sticks for you? Obviously, you've got great understanding being a defender. Who'd be your man behind you?
Well, I was lucky. I probably played with the best keepers we've ever had, Phil Parkes and Ludo McCloskey.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think there'd be many West Ham supporters who argue that those two were the best. You know, one's still got a chant for his, you know, for himself down there, what he'll have for the rest of his life, which he can never understand, by the way. Ludo McCloskey, you know, the "Oi, big boy, what's your name? My name's Ludo McCloskey." You know, I come from near Moscow,
yeah.
and as Ludo says to me, "I don't come from near Moscow." I went, "Yes, Ludo, but it doesn't rhyme with Moscow, you don't know."
Rhyme with Czech Republic, yeah. Former Czechoslovakia. Yeah, now even more so. Yeah, I think it's closer to get to London from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Moscow. Yeah.
Oh, that's what he said. I said, you can't be Ludo McCloskey and I come from near Prague, can you? Look, don't rhyme, you know. But no, so those two guys, obviously, I'd love to play the pair of them, but one of them's got to go on the bench. So I would narrowly go for Phil Parkes, who probably was one of the best goalkeepers in the world at that time. So it would narrowly be Parksy. Parksy just about had everything, and he had a great demeanour and an attitude to football that was so relaxed, which I believe goalkeepers should have, because when they do make mistakes, then some goalkeepers tend to worry about it, and the next thing that they do, that's a panic up, and it unsettles everyone in the defence. But Parksy was great about it. He was a top keeper, great at crosses, really came crosses, great shot stopper. And I'd say Ludo was, you know, running him close. I think Ludo was more athletic, I would say, he was more loose-limbed. But Parksy had better handling, if I could say that. But the two keepers, absolutely top drawer. That's the position probably where you're spoilt for choice.
Yeah,
the two keepers.
True. Yeah.
So I'm going to narrowly go for Parksy, and they're both good friends of mine. So apologies to Ludo and to Parksy. You owe me another bottle of red.
Another bottle, that just says it. Yeah, we'll put Parksy in. As you said, you know, I think you're right with a goalkeeper. They have to be, you know, I think the best goalkeepers, particularly for West Ham, but in general, are the ones where they have this sort of calming atmosphere. Goalkeepers are always, you know, the Bruce Grobbelaars are all crazy and but actually, I think for West Ham, in my era, obviously Ludo, but obviously, you know, Robert Green, you know, Fabianski, they're very calm. You know, they don't seem erratic, and I think, particularly if your defence isn't particularly strong, it's nice to have a calming influence in the back. But
Parksy and Ludo never really made saves look spectacular. If they didn't have to. You know, someone like Adrian. Remember Adrian? Good goalkeeper, but he'd tip it over the bar, then he'd dive. But these two were just, if it was there to catch, they catch it, just get on with the game. If it was there to make a spectacular save, they would. Exactly. But I tell you what, both really good guys as well. So anyone who met either one of those two guys wouldn't be disappointed with them. You know, they say never meet your heroes, but if those guys are your heroes, meet them. They won't let you down.
Sounds great. All right, we'll put Parksy in. Nice shout. Okay, let's go for left back. Who do you have left back, Tony?
Well, I'd have to go for Norm. You might not know who Norm is, but Norm was a character out of Cheers. He was the fat geezer who used to sit on the end of the bar, and that's who Julian Dix looked like when he first signed for us. You know, and when they used to come in the bar in Cheers, they always used to go Norm, and he'd go like that, and hello. But that was Norm. That was Dixie. Didn't say a lot, super fella. Probably took a little bit of time to settle in. Probably got a little bit of time to understand the way we played, particularly people in front of him, because he didn't have a bad time. He had either Alan Devonshire or Liam Brady at the time. So he had either one of those two. So but Julian would get that left back choice. The other left backs I played with were good left backs. Is Stevie Walford and Georgie Parris, really good left backs. But Dixie was just a bit above those two. He was a top player. Yeah,
as you said,
And Chris Hughton, I played with Chris Hughton. I forgot about Chris. He came to us on the end of his time from Spurs. He played in the FA Cup semi-final with us. So another one I'd have to mention. I have to keep mentioning all these boys.
Nice, good.
But it would be Norm.
Yeah, Norm.
Can I put their nicknames down instead of the fans have got to guess who it is?
Okay, we'll do that. That's it. We'll put Norm in. What's Parksy? Is that what you call Phil?
Well, unfortunately, yeah.
Brilliant. Right, okay. We'll go left back, Norm. Okay, who's going to go right back then?
Well, right back's going to go Tonka.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that's Ray Stewart.
Yeah.
Again, I had another choice of player I could have played there, but he played also, and I thought he ended up playing in a better position for himself. Stevie Potts played centre back, but Stevie was a good right back as well. But Tonka was a specialist right back. And added to that, which all West Ham fans know, he was a brilliant penalty taker. Same as Norm, actually. I think they'd be fighting over it. Who'd be taking over the penalties. But Tonka was he was a hard lad. He'd kick his granny for 2 bob. I tell you, he's one of those. He was proper hard as nails, Tonka. Hard with his money, hard with his tackles. Really good friend of mine, still to this day.
Brilliant.
But he was a super player. I'd have to mention Potsy as well, though, because Potsy was a great servant to West Ham.
Oh, yeah.
And Potsy, as I say, played probably better in the centre-back position than he did in the right-back position.
Yeah.
And also Smokey, Georgie Paris, he played right-back as well. He used to play right-back as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, you're right. Yeah.
Ray Tonka Stewart, he had to be there.
Yeah, no worries. That's a great shout. Okay, we'll put Tonka in. Okay, let's go for centre-backs. Are you putting yourself down as one, Tone, or are you going up front?
Yes, I'm going to make myself captain as well, Russ.
Captain, captain, Tony
Gale. I'm going to
be
on free. If you don't mind, I'm going to be on free kicks. I'm taking them over from Tonka and Dixie as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else can I give myself? Also, I'm man of the match for every game. Okay.
Man of the match. Yeah, man of the match. Even I remember we used to do that when we used to announce man of the match at West Ham. We used to have when Wrighty was playing for us. Wrighty would literally just come on the pitch and he'd get announced as man of the match because obviously he went to meet the sponsors afterwards. So it's always like Ian Wright, Roy, yes, he's still on the bench. But okay, I know. But yeah, right, man of the match. Got and obviously we'll put captain, we'll put physio, director of football.
That's it. Coach, manager,
sorted.
That's it.
All of them. No problems. Who's gonna partner you? Because obviously you got to pick because you're the manager as well.
Yeah, obviously. Everybody knows Alvin, obviously. I would pick Alvin. I played Alvin with Alvin probably for 10 years, on and off. Apart from we had a couple of long-term injuries at different times and he played and I hadn't played and vice versa. But for sheer consistency of performance and a really good player as well. Good captain as well, but I've nicked the captaincy off him. He won't like that because he liked being captain, but I've nicked the captaincy off him this time because I'm manager as well. So I've made myself captain. Yeah. And I'm better looking than him as well. So
he's got more hair as well. So
Now, Alvin, I tell you what, Russ, quality player. Good commanding player in the air, very good in the air, a lot better in the air than me. Good on the ball, very good on the ball. Because he was strong and competitive, people would probably underestimate his ability on the ball. But he also had that ability as well. We were both lucky that we were good on the ball in the way that we played. We like to play deep because I'm fair to say to both of us, we wasn't blessed with pace. So we were both comfortable in playing deep, but both comfortable on the ball and playing the ball out of defence. And if you're comfortable in playing out of deep positions, it does give the rest of the team more room.
Sure.
I.e. the strikers to play into space or midfield players or to zip it into midfield players or wide players. So we were both very comfortable with that. I'd have to mention the other people that I played with as well. Potsy, I loved playing with Potsy.
Yeah.
He sort of played with me towards the later stages of my career there. Potsy was, unlike Alvin, he was blessed with pace and he was Mr. Consistency, Steve, and top fella. None of the fans would disagree with that. He'd be right up there with some of the most loyal servants at the club, one club man and whatever. Played with Bonzo there as well. Loved playing with Bonzo, but obviously it was coming to the end of Bonzo's career. And another one I played with for a few games was Julian.
In centre-back?
When he played Spencer, I mean, Julian was a naturally aggressive player as well, so he was very good on the ball. I enjoyed playing with a lot of them. Colin Foster, do you remember Colin Foster?
Yeah, Colin Foster, yeah.
Gary Strodder I played with. Paul Hilton I played with. All good footballers, all good blokes. None of them were wrong-uns, so to speak. So enjoyed every one of their company. But it would have to go to Alvin. Yeah. And Alvin obviously had a great career at West Ham, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And as I said, I think that's quite a solid back five we've got there already, Tone. I think. Right. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's go into midfield. Let's go left wing. Who will have on the left wing? Probably guess.
He wouldn't like to be called a left winger, but
No.
he was the best player that I played with at West Ham, so he would be called as a left midfielder, left winger.
Yeah.
But it was Alan Devonshire.
Yeah.
That was his spot. Another one who running close was Liam Brady, but Liam wasn't there as long as Alan.
No.
And I think Alan picked him for his West Ham play, obviously. Liam had greater service at Juventus, Ascoli, Inter Milan, Arsenal, wherever he played. But we got Liam at the end of his career. Alan Dev was super. He was the best player that I played with at West Ham in my career. Probably he's one of my best pals as well. So we travelled in together, me, him and Parksy, being the foreign players, Russ, because we came from West London.
West London, yeah.
Yeah, West London boys, and Paul Goddard was one of them and all. But I'd have to say Alan Devonshire, hands down, Alan Devonshire. A guy who had a little spell out there, but he also played up front, I'd have to mention as well, was Stuart Slater.
Sure,
Stuart he should have stayed with us, and he went to Celtic.
Yeah.
If he'd have stayed with us, I think he'd have had an even better career. Just think he moved at the wrong time, or Chopper as we used to call him. And that was the fact that he never made a tackle, so we called him Chopper Slater. Yeah. So he played, he was on the left, but Dev, without a doubt, just beat players with ease, always accept the ball in difficult situations, didn't mind being kicked, would always double up with a fullback if the fullback was struggling against his winger. Just quality all round, and a quality bloke as well.
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. I don't think anyone would disagree that one, Tony. Right, okay, let's go to the other wing. So who will have on the right wing, right midfield, whatever you want to call it?
Right wing, I had the choice of, I think it boiled down to sort of three. So it was Kevin Keane, who was excellent at our time and also went on to be coach at West Ham and other places as well. I'm not sure if he's back at West Ham again now, Kev. I think he might be back on the coaching staff. But Kevin Keane was there. Paul Allen, when I first came there, but Paul was only for a season and a half, and then he moved over with the enemy, which we joke about with him all the time. Paul Allen, he's a great geezer, as is Kev. He's a real nice fella. But it'd have to go to Mark Ward. Yeah. Mark Ward was in our 85-86 team. Again, a really good mate of mine. Little scouser, little scallywag, as I call him, but a top player. He complimented the other side of Dev so much because he used to tuck in, Maldi, if Dev got forward. Sure. And also, not being like Dev, he didn't go past players as easy with like a little jink or whatever, but he had blistering pace, did Mark. Little strong as well. And I'll tell you what, for a little right-sided midfield player, come winger, he was tough as old boots. He kicked the fullback as much as they kicked him. Yeah, he was no shirker, Waldy. In my team, all day long. He was like, always moaning, always getting up, getting on with it, always arguing with the opposition. Yeah. Just that's all my constant memories of Mark. Still see him to this day. Don't live far away from me. So Mark Ward on the right.
Lovely. Yeah, great shout. And that's the thing, because obviously, I wasn't around to see really Dev and Mark Ward and people like that. And that's the whole, and I'm learning so much more for West Ham history, so to speak, because all these stories that are coming up from you, and obviously Mark's appeared, Dev's appeared in loads of them, so it's really nice to hear all this stuff. Right, okay, so we'll put Waldy on the right. Let's go the centre midfield. So we're going to have as your first centre midfielder then, Tony?
Well, I've got to have two midfielders, and the first one, and then the next one was the hardest choice, but the first one would be Alan Dickens.
Yeah.
Now, most West Ham fans would go, "Oh, Alan Dickens, what?" But he came through the youth team. He had a great upbringing. Come up alongside Tony Cotty, and other players that come through the youth team in that time. And the academy was, regularly churning them out.
Yeah.
Later days it was Potsy, Incy, Kevin Keane. All good players, all Premier League players.
Yeah.
Or First Division, as it was called then. Yeah. But Alan Dickens was silky smooth. Took over from Trevor Brooking. Unfortunately, gave him the new mantle of the new Trevor Brooking. Moved to Chelsea. Again, if he'd have stayed, it would have been a lot better for him. But in 85-86, he nearly played every game, same as me. Top player. What a touch. He had a beautiful touch. But not just a beautiful touch, he was good in the air, and he had a great tackle. He had that what I called the Peter Beardsley tackle at the time. You know, when they slide and they scoop it back.
Scoop it back,
He had that sliding tackle, where it was like a hook tackle. Dicko was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He burst into the box late, but when you had to defend and just sit there, he'd do that as well. Alan Dickens all day long. And then, but there's a host of other players, because I've got to pick the one next to him now, haven't I, Russ?
Yeah.
There's a host. In that 85-86 season, that position alternated between Jeff Pike and Neil Waugh. So those two boys were quality. Pikey came up through the U team. Neil, we signed from Morton in Scotland. He was a good player as well, holding midfield player. Pikey was one of the most underestimated players and one of the best team players that I played with. Pikey, he was a top player. But then I have to have a look at the other midfield players who I played with at different times, and I look at Paul Ince, who went to play on for England and whatever, done this, done that, done the other. Billy Bonds, who could have played anywhere in the team, but I only played with Billy later on in his West Ham life. So I'm trying to think who I would pick. So it would be between Bonzo, Ince, who was a kid coming through, and the last one I think you mentioned before, Ian Bishop.
Yeah, Bishop.
So to say who had their best time with me then, and I played more games with, and had a bit of consistency to his game as well, it would be Ian Bishop.
Yeah.
Paul Ince ended up the best player out of the three of them, hands down. Billy Bonds was a wonderful West Ham hero, and like even a hero to me to this day.
Yeah.
But because it was Billy's latter days, I would have to go maybe Bish in the middle of the field there with Alan Dickens. Yeah. And I played with Bish for a good six or 7 years, so I'd have to give it to Bish.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely makes great sense. And as you said, he was. I think somewhat Bish was a bit more ahead of his time, really, because he's the type of midfielder that occurs quite regularly in the Premier League now. It's all stylish. He was. He's got a good range of passing on him.
He'd be great in today's football.
Yeah,
the pitches are not as bad as they were then. The balls are obviously lighter, and he could pass. He could pass for fun, and he could spot a pass as well.
Yeah,
really good, creative player.
That's a great shout. Right, okay, put Bish. Now
if he don't pick me in his team, I'm going to get the ump with him.
Right, all right, okay, we'll put Bish in with an asterisk next to his name. Otherwise, Jeff Pike's in. Okay, right, we'll put Bish in. Right, who's going to go up front then, Tony? Who are we going to have up front?
Well, it's quite easy, isn't it, really? My two pals.
Yeah.
Chalk and cheese as well. We got Tony. I've played with a lot of other strikers as well. Yeah. And all the quality strikers, I can mention them all, but it's just easy just to say Cotty and McAvenny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they were both different players. Tony, when he first came into the side, we thought was a little bit lazy. I still tell him to this day. But when he added a little bit of work rate to his game as well, and realised it was a bit of a team game as well as just scoring goals, he became so much more of a better player. Really terrific player. He had everything that you could want in a goal scorer in and around the area. Short backlift, just turn, get his shots away with either feet. Would look to get down the sides of central defenders all the time, and we had players who could pick the pass to get there. And eventually sort of was better in his link-up play when we played to feet as well, because all Tony wanted to do was get in the box, because he'll tell you 98% of his goals came in the box. Yeah. And he came alive. But we did have to convince him that there should be another part of your game, that there was 10 other players there as well. We're not all there just to put a ball on a plate for you. He was top quality, Tone. Really, Russ, a crisp striker of a ball. Sure. Never any of those side foot finishes or anything like that. Just whoosh, straight through the ball. Really good strike with the ball. And his strike partner, of course, we nearly share the same. We're exactly the same age, apart from 2 days. Me and Frank. Oh. We both celebrate them in different fashions. He still goes to Stringfellows, and I have a cup of cocoa. Yeah. No. What? Frank could go down as probably legendary status, same as Tony really as well, but for different reasons. But they complemented each other so well. But Frank was not so big in stature, but he really did put himself about against centre backs. And if they wanted to have a little, elbow and a bump and a bruise, he was up for that. He had the old jock in him came out. He was a little bit fiery. He was one of our fiery ones. Him and Maldi probably start all the fights on the football pitch. Those two still start fights now. The pair of them. No, he's got a bit more laid back now, Frank. But he is again a good finisher. Yeah, had that bit of pace to get behind people, better in the air than what people thought he was as well. So he had a good all-round game. What he did better than Tony was run the channels, but Tony was a better finisher, I would say. But he did run the channels and worked harder than Tony, and that was a natural thing in his game, which Tony, watching Frank and playing with Frank, got a little bit to his game as well. So I believe they really complemented each other. Yeah, they're still great friends. We're all great friends, but they're still great friends to this day. And I don't think that'll happen now with players. That they'll all be ringing each other up 30, 40 years on down the line and still going out with each other with their missus and on their own for a drink. Yeah, but that's what the team was like then, Russ. It was terrific.
No, exactly. And I think also like partnership wise, you don't get that really as much now. Like, like a partnership, you get a trio. So you'll get like, Firmino, Salah and Mane. But, particularly West Ham, we haven't had that sort of partnership, we chop and change. And I think,
Well, those boys were so good then in those days. And our formation constantly changed, although it was, you've put it down as a 4-4-2, and it looks a 4-4-2 on paper. Yeah. Really, if we were struggling in the game, Frank would drop deep. He would play just in front of the two central midfield players. Tony play high, and then Alan and Mark would push on a little bit to stop the fullbacks coming out. Yeah. So it kind of changed to a 4-3-3. Yeah. And then within a framework of a game, if things weren't working, we'd tighten the midfield up and we'd become a diamond and play the two up front. But it was all down to common sense and the call of the players on the pitch, as well as obviously John on the touchline. Yeah. It was more or less a 4-4-2, but we never didn't have the bottle to change it if we needed to change it. If we were having problems in a particular position, it weren't, let him get on with it. He can cope. No, we got our help our man over there. He's struggling today, so we just adjust and adjust accordingly to help the team. That's what it was all about.
No, I get it totally. And as I said, it's lovely, and it's lovely that you guys are all still mates and still, as you said, I don't think that happens so much in football now. I think people move so much and, move to different countries and stuff like that. I mean, even, when Brady went, Celtics and Slater went to Celtic, it's only Scotland, it's not like they're flying, now they're flying to China or whatever, you know what I mean?
Exactly, and it's not just the 85, 86 team that stays together. When Bish comes over and Trevor Morley comes over, I still see them. I see Jimmy Quinn, Alan McKnight, all the boys, So all the players of that era, they're all in touch. Kenny Brown, who you spoke about earlier, Kenny Brown Jr. Although I didn't play with Kenny Brown Sr., he was obviously a long time before me, you still see these guys and you still recognise these guys like they recognise us as West Ham players. Yeah. Whether that happens in the future, I'm not so sure. Because players, if they've been at a club 3 years, it's a long time.
It's
I'm not talking about the Mark Nobles of this world, who's done terrific for us, but mostly, 3 years is a long time.
Yeah, and as you said, that I mean, you can probably count them on hands rather than where before you had. You used to have 10 years, and lots of players were there for a long time, and had testimonials and stuff like that. You don't get that anymore now. You don't get.
That's a real good point. That's a real good point, Russ. Because when I was playing, I had a testimonial, but there was 11 testimonial years in succession. That means 11 players played 10 years or more for the football club. Crazy. It was like every year. There was a lot of functions to go to, wasn't it? A lot of drinking, but there was 11 successive testimonial years. I can't remember them all, but it was Phil Parks, myself, Alvin, Ray Stewart, Stevie Potts, Georgie Parrish, Paul Hilton. I've named quite a few there, but there was 11. Jeff Pike. Wow. But it was 11 on the spin. And it was like, God, blimey. That's what loyalty was in those days, wasn't it?
Yeah, you don't get that.
To be fair, you got loyalty back from the football club because the testimonial year was the year that you were supposed to get your little bit of bonus.
Yeah. And yours was against the Republic of Ireland, wasn't it? Republic of Ireland team, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, mine was against the Republic. It was a day after we played Southampton and stayed up. We drew 3-3 against them on a Saturday. So like 34,000 on a Saturday, and then I only got 8.5. But that's no reflection on the West Ham crowd. No. If that had been played on a Wednesday, there would have probably been 30,000 there as well, because they were that loyal. But to ask supporters to come 2 days in succession to the same ground was hard. That's where that's where it was wrong. Kind of got a little bit stitched up in that respect, but that's all gone now anyway.
Yeah. But anyway,
it's only money, Russ.
It's only money. It's only money. You know, can't spend it. Can't spend it now, can we? At the moment, you know,
she's finding ways.
Yeah, my wife is finding ways as well. Let's be honest. But
is that the delivery man? Is that the delivery man?
Yeah. I've just had a delivery. Funny, I've had 2 since we've had this call here. Just goes on to say, no, but we're selling stuff as well. All my daughter, you know, because now you've got time to do stuff. You know, we're taking all the boxes down and going through the clothes, and you know, which is like
have a sort out,
have a proper sort out, Is that they're
worried about
declutter? Indeed, they're worried about the charity shops, aren't they? Because as soon as they open, they're going to get like skip loads of clothes coming in. It's going to be an absolute nightmare for Oxfam and Sue Ryder and Art Foundation. Tony, it's been absolutely brilliant. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. I really appreciate you taking the time. You've got a lovely team there. And obviously, stay, hopefully, a few weeks' time, the old Premier League will be back and be able to watch it on BBC or Amazon or whatever it's going to be on. It's going to be
I hope so,
quite
mate.
interesting.
Sky. Don't forget Sky.
Sorry, and Sky Sports. I am probably Sky Sports' biggest subscriber anyway. So, and obviously, but obviously, thank you to everyone for watching as well. You know, it's been really nice. Obviously, like, share, subscribe, comment. We've got loads more. And until next time, guys, take care and stay safe, everybody. For me and Tone. See you.
Thanks, Russ.
Cheers.